morning or good afternoon. It depends on where people are watching us. We're in the same time zone.
That's
You're in
right.
Tennessee. You're in Tennessee, lovely Tennessee.
How's it
I'm in
going?
Mexico. Oh, yeah, great, great. I'm in Mexico. Coincidentally, the same time zone as Tennessee.
That works out great.
Uh,
That's very rare.
yeah, that's very rare, very rare, very rare. But I know that we've had some people watching us from the UK over the past couple of days because we're doing the third day, actually. It's already
Yeah.
the third day. It just went by so quick.
Yes. Welcome to day
Yeah,
3.
day 3 of the 14-day challenge. We covered some really, really good stuff in the first 2 days. First day, how to write super songs.
Mhm.
Songs that will stick, songs that people will enjoy, songs that will be relatable and to the audience, and that will keep on bringing the money to the creator and the creator's children and the creator's children's children and so on. So that was the day 1. Day 2 yesterday was
SAS.
SAS. Okay, yeah,
SAS tools.
SAS tools.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, and automation and looking at sort of the back end of how to run Shopify stores, how to automate the merch sales process, how to automate communications between the team members. Really, really useful. Maybe not as glamorous, as some creation, but equally important.
It's not as fun as being in the studio.
Yeah.
But it's the thing that pays for the studio. So
yeah, well, yeah,
in a sense, it's kind of, more fun,
Yeah. Yeah. So these were both really, really useful and informative two days. And we are on now to day 3.
That's right.
Which is becoming an original and standing out in a crowd. I feel it's really important because as we mentioned on our first day, there's about 100,000 songs going live every single day across all the streaming services. So it's not enough to just write music. You have to find ways to stand out from the crowd and to be noticed and to be different from everyone else. I remember actually. I remember because. To those who are watching us, I don't know. Sorry, I'm Dynamitri. I'm a social media manager, digital manager, part-time manager. And I've done the hacking music training with John a couple of years ago now. And I remember actually, this was one of the most powerful parts I felt of the whole training that we've done 2 years ago when we spoke about being different, and being unique. And it's so important in this day and age, because it's like a unique selling point of you as an artist, or you as a producer, or pretty much, pretty much anyone in the music industry, I'm not an artist anymore. I do social media, but I also put a lot of effort in being different from, there's so many people doing social media for artists. Everyone is like, oh, I can do your Facebook, I can do your TikTok, I can help you out. But you need to find an angle and a way to stand out from everyone else that makes you different and noticeable to.
And I think you do a great job of that, Dynamitri. I mean, you're your own, you're the own Dynamitri out there. You're not a clone of 50 other people. You're the first you. So it's easier to just be yourself. But for some reason, artists, I think, have part of their thinking and psychology is like, oh, I just need to blend in and be what's popular. And so we're going to hopefully put a pin in that thinking today as we talk about differentiation and how to stand on your own 2 feet and just really being comfortable in your own skin, really.
Fantastic. Really looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So a little bit of housekeeping too. Great questions on the chat as you're watching. If you have questions, thoughts, comments, we'll be answering a few of those in real time here. But as people watch in their own time zone, go ahead and put your questions in. We'll be answering them throughout the day, each day during the 14-day challenge. And also too, put your credit cards away. We're not here to sell you or upsell you on anything. We are here to help you build some muscle around what you're doing. Our mission is to replace the artist we've lost with the next generation of healthier, more profitable artists. So this is just a way of us building into artists, whether we work together or not, so that's kind of the spirit of the training here today. So with that, let's jump in. Any other points, Dynamitri, before we rock and roll?
I think we're good. I think we're good to go.
Good. All right. So this is day 3 in the 14-day challenge of how to not become a disposable artist. So many artists implode on the runway, get wrapped around their axle. This is to protect artists from that exact problem. So today is becoming an original, creative differentiation, how to stand up and stand apart as an artist and entrepreneur. So let me clear my screen here, 2 seconds. So this is where we find ourselves. So you can either be first in your own line or 50th in a line of imitators. And as an entrepreneur, it is 10x easier to stand on your own 2 feet and just become who you are. That doesn't happen day 1. And what we're talking about today is a series of questions that help you get there. You're not going to get it right today, but you get it right over time, over some months and possibly years. And some people are just born geniuses. They're born, David Bowie type people. But this is for the mere mortals like you and I who aren't David Bowie, who aren't Edward Van Halen, who aren't Madonna, but yet still have to compete with Madonnas and Bowies. Okay. So the context here before we jump in and why I love this is that as artists, we want to blend in, at the end of the day, we want to blend in. And so this is a tool to help you stand out and to do it in a way that's manageable and kind of fun. So the goal here in this module I want you to achieve is to just have 4 questions that you ask yourself throughout your day that eventually get you to a place of becoming an original. So that's the goal for today's module. And let's dive in here. So on this training, we want to help you become part of the future instead of part of history. Artists who are originals compete so much easier. There's much less noise in what they do. They have their messaging together. They know their music is different for a reason. They don't try to be something they're not. Their branding, everything about them is just easier because they're not trying to compete with 200 other people. They're competing with themselves. So in a real sense, it's you against you. So first thing we want to kind of set the table for this conversation is the idea of red oceans and blue oceans. And this came out of a book called Blue Ocean Strategy. Some people at Harvard wrote it years ago, and we're borrowing it and applying it to music entrepreneurs here. In this section, we're going to address how you can determine, tune, and build the uniqueness of your music, your brand, your artistry. So let's define differentiation first. Differentiation is the process by which you consciously create ways to set yourself apart from everyone else. And I think here it's important to say this isn't just about dyeing your hair pink or getting face tattoos. This is about the organic, believable parts of being different.
To be completely honest on that note, and on the face tattoos note, I think that looking at the hip hop scene, it actually would make you different if you had no face tattoos.
Right.
So many people get those these days.
Totally.
It's like, you get those memes where it's like a 2000s or 2020s rapper starter kit, and there's always like,
Yes.
face and neck tattoos. So yeah, it's like, a lot of people look very, very similar. And like it used to be that tattoos would set you apart. Right now, actually, if you come in and you've got no tattoos, like, wow, this person looks different.
Yeah. And we're going to pull up really high. We're going to pull up to 50,000 feet, kind of a God view, and look at genres and how they're different. And that's true for rock. That's true for country. That's true for rap. The principle is what's important here. It's not important like, you know, am I a singer-songwriter? Am I a metal band? Really, who cares? So differentiation. This is a red ocean. Sharks, competition. It's, you know, it's an ugly day, right? Not a good place to be. A blue ocean.
Oh, that looks nice.
Looks fantastic. You know, that's where you want to be. And the artists, we're going to talk about two different types of artists here. This is the place where you want to be. We don't want to be eaten by sharks, competing with sharks, you know, losing blood. We want to be in a healthy, long-term, integrated, aligned place. So this is red ocean and blue oceans. And I'll just kind of read through this a little bit here. So red oceans are bloody with competition, compete in clogged markets, scarcity mindsets, low ticket prices, begging for other people's attentions. It's a real desperate place for an artist to be, an unhealthy place. Blue oceans make the competition irrelevant. You can think of Apple, you can think of Tesla, whatever your brand is that you love. I think of Cirque du Soleil, but they take original approach and stand out. They have an expansion and growth mindset. They can ask for a premium price because it's a blue ocean, right? So here's a red ocean: scarcity, transaction, low ticket price, begging for attention, competing in clogged markets. Blue oceans: meaningful experience, expansion mindset, premium price, free from competition, original approach, and stand out. Very different places. Okay. It's definitely a binary thing here.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is, as artists, we want to move. Most of us are born into a red ocean. Like being from Texas, it was all about the blues, Stevie Ray, right? And there were all these clones of Stevie Ray Vaughan. So what we want to do is we want to move out of that red ocean and move into a blue ocean. So that touches our music, that touches our messaging, that touches our experiences that we stage, that touches our products. Everything we do has to move out of this blue ocean and move with you into a blue ocean. Does this make sense?
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%.
Good. Yeah. Any questions, comments? Put them in the comments below, and we're watching now, and we'll try to answer those. So there's 4 questions that get us here. Okay. And again, this is, I don't want to cheapen this. I don't want to make it sound easy. I don't want to make it sound like you just flick a switch and, hey, I'm David Bowie. But I want to give you a map that gets you there. So the 4 questions come out of the Blue Ocean book, called the ERC framework, ERRC. So the 4 questions help you become part of the future instead of part of history. So Dynamitri, who comes to mind when you think of original artists?
Lady Gaga, Madonna, Eminem,
Right.
I'm just trying to think of somebody else. Yeah, I mean, those, yeah, Dr. Dre in many ways. Dr. Dre. Yeah.
I would put Jimmy Buffett in there, and the Grateful Dead. You know, Van Halen's probably in there. Coheed and Cambria, I would say, is trending out of a red ocean and getting to a blue ocean. But yeah, I mean, whatever genre you're in, you know, the Dolly Partons out there that are like, there's not a second best Dolly Parton, you know? There's just Dolly. So what we're going to do is we want to reverse engineer those artists and talk about the 4 questions that will get us mere mortals there. So there's Celine Dion's on that list. Bowie, Queen would be high on that list. Kate Bush is hard to, you know. Cirque du Soleil is kind of the poster child for originality. You know, whether you're into circuses or not It's if you study original artists, there's no other Cirque du Soleil. So the big question is how does a new artist initiate and develop a unique brand that allows them to operate and move towards a blue ocean? It's a hard thing. It's a real thing, but I want to put this in your hands and give you a tool for activating that here instead of just becoming another bottom feeder competing for scraps.
Yeah.
Getting out of the red ocean. And this is one of our principles. A career is built not by making one lucky decision. A career is built by making thousands of right decisions over time. You don't win a contest. You actually have to compete at a higher level and get better across a lot of channels. So the 4 words and the 4 questions we're going to talk about here are this. ERC is eliminate, reduce, raise, and create. Eliminate, reduce, raise, and create. And this is the ERC framework, and we're going to step through this. The first question is, which factors that the industry has long competed on should be eliminated? Okay. The second one is, which factors should be raised well above the industry standard? Third one is, which factors should be reduced well below the standard? And which factors should be created or invented that the industry has never offered? Okay.
So it's almost like you took a career and you had a, like the mixing console with like different knobs, and you just like tweaked some parts of the career or vision and muted other parts to make sure that you come out with the combination.
That's the mixing board's a great way to think about that. We're going to mute some things, we're going to solo some things, we're going to ride some things, and we're going to dip some things. Perfect. Yeah. So these 4 questions, and these are all kind of big picture, highfalutin kind of things, but we're going to kind of put some handles on them so people can activate them in their day-to-day. So which factor should be eliminated? Okay, let's look at that one first. Examples of this in the real world, specifically in the music production space, because that's a easy way to talk about this. Reverb drenched mixes were once huge. Okay, bone dry mixes were once a thing. Big guitar solos were a thing. No guitar solos were a thing. Disco music was a thing. Boy bands were a thing, right? So the idea of eliminating factors is kind of Darwinian. Like you said about face tattoos. Like what was edgy a year and a half ago is now snooze fest. Yeah. So we want to think about it in these terms, and these are music production type components. But again, this touches product, this touches staging, this touches your team and messaging and e-commerce. So those are some examples of kind of Darwinian things that have gone away. They've been eliminated. Big or small, these trends were eliminated. They became opportunities for the artist that is brave to both answer and act on them. Okay. And some artists just know this instinctively. I think David Bowie was probably like this, and Kate Bush. They're just kind of one of a kind, So they didn't need the 4 questions. They were kind of they knew this. They had this in their bones. But again, for us mere mortals, it gives us a way to go, okay, what do I need to eliminate this year? What am I gonna eliminate?
I think one of the challenges in the grand scheme of things is also sort of knowing when to move on from a particular trend. Because when you look at like David Bowie, for example, he reinvented himself several times, with different sort of concepts, with different stage names. You look at Madonna. Same thing. She has always been Madonna the whole time, but she had like different eras. Lady Gaga had those. Right. So it's like just knowing when to start with something, but also when to move on. Whereas some artists, I see,
are content.
They struggle. They just like hold on, and they keep on doing the same thing. And everyone else had moved on, and they just keep on doing, and it's no good.
Yeah.
No good.
I think you hit on something really, really important, Dynamitri, and that's innovation within artistry and entrepreneurship. You know, Madonna disrupted herself.
Yeah.
Bowie disrupted himself and competed with himself and kept answering these 4 questions for himself. He said, screw everybody else. I'm just going to think about me and how I, you know, turn myself over, and really a Darwinian approach to these 4 questions. Van Halen was like that a lot. I mean, Steve Jobs is kind of the poster child of continuous disruption, you know, getting rid of USB ports and getting rid of FireWire ports when the world was like, well, wait, well, why? I love my FireWire ports. Why do I need
headphone? Headphone
jack.
Apple obviously,
really, you to get rid of headphone jack, you know. But yeah, it's that self-disruption of answering these 4 questions. You know, we do it with our artists every year, but you know, I think as you get more comfortable with this, you want to continually cycle through this. So the next question is, which factors should be reduced below the industry standard? So let's look at a couple examples. Big background vocals were reduced. No background vocals were reduced. 3-minute song formats, 6-minute song formats were at a time a thing.
There was a period. There was a period when one song was one side of a vinyl,
right?
You know, vinyl. So, you know, you had like, however, I can't remember the exact timings, but you know, like 20-minute songs.
Early 70s,
yeah.
Gentle Giant and King Crimson type stuff. So it's you know, overproduced recordings, underproduced recordings. These are the things that, you know, as artists and entrepreneurs, when you think, you know, what do I need to reduce? What do I need to do less of? Like your mixing console, you're like, okay, I'm gonna bring these down. And then the third question, which factors should be raised? So which things do we want to bump up here? Couple examples of that from a production perspective: artists who write their own songs. Maybe we want to do more of that. Artists who write only record only outside songs. Maybe we need to record those bro country artists. Traditional country artists. Do we need more bro country, or do we need more traditional country? So it's a iterative, subtle writing of the faders. And the last question is, which factors need to be invented or created that the industry's never offered? Some examples of that. At a time, you never rapped on the verses. And then I don't know who invented that. Dr. Dre.
I think earlier than that.
Easy-E, you know, whoever that was. But you know, they created, okay, we're going to rap on the verses and we're going to sing on the hook. We invented that. Screamo bands. There was a time when nobody did screamo vocals. I honestly don't care about screamo vocals, you know, but it's not about what we like. It's about innovation and disruption, right? Beard bands. Beard bands were, we're going to, you know, LGBT themed songs. Those were created, and they were, you know, 5 years ago, they weren't a thing. So those are some examples from the writing production world that kind of give us some examples of how that shakes out in a real day-to-day boots on the ground tactical place. And this is one of the action items from the community training. And I also should say too, if you're interested in this, and if this at any point you say, hey, this makes a ton of sense, I'd love to go deeper in this, we have a community group that we do every month with artists, and we work on these, workshop these with artists, and it's a real high protein group of artists who really kind of aren't satisfied with where they are and are building a real career. So if that makes sense, you can there'll be some links around. But this is one of the action items to kind of start that process for you and your team. What are 5 examples of things I'm going to eliminate? Things I'm going to raise, things I'm going to reduce, things I'm going to create. And it's super important not to just say, I'm going to just think about this in the musical sphere. You know, there's the e-commerce sphere, there's the team sphere, there's the back office automation sphere. There's a lot of different ways to raise and create things and to reduce things. So don't just think about music only. And this will be available to, you can sign up if you want to get all of the training from this challenge with the PDFs. We'll send this to you. There'll be a link below here if you want to grab all this. And lastly, let's just do a case study on Journey, how Journey answered these 4 questions. So this is the guy that invented Journey, Herbie Herbert, one of my heroes, right? He's the guy that assembled Journey and is brilliant. So here's Journey. Started out as a Santana jam band, early 70s. And so let's take a run around the bases and think about how Journey answered these 4 questions. What they eliminated, what they raised, what they reduced, and what they created. So what did they eliminate? Dynamitri, are you a Journey fan? Or, that might be after your time.
Journey. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I love Journey. I love Journey, but my knowledge of catalog isn't really, that deep to be able to have a say. I'm afraid. You know?
Yeah.
I'm more I'm more sort of 80s, 90s forwards. I think the Journey is a little bit before 80s. Is it like 70s? Isn't it? Yeah.
They started. Early 70s. All right. So, which factors did Journey eliminate? So, at the time, the Grateful Dead were huge. Santana was huge. It was all about 20-minute songs and 6-minute solos. And Journey was born into that world, right? Herbie Herbert was the road manager for Santana. They were part of this universe, right? So these 4 questions help Journey become part of the future instead of part of history. They could have easily just stayed back here and been a jam band that nobody's talking about today, but they made some very key decisions that gave them a 50-year career that they're celebrating this year. With our friends from Toto as well. So if they're in your neck of the woods, go check them out. There's a lot to learn there. All right. So what did they eliminate? Journey eliminated the jam band 14-minute songs that were popular, right? They just, at some point, they'd made a decision, again, whether intuitively or consciously in a management meeting, they said, you know what, we're going to zig and zag here. We're not going to be Grateful Dead copycat number 12. What did they reduce? And again, this is hindsight. We're able to look back and really reduce this down and simplify it for the sake of, their hindsight is really becoming our foresight. It's obviously for them, it was probably much more complex than this, but we're going to use them as an example. So what did they reduce? So at the time, Hammond B3 was huge. Carlos Santana, Black Magic Woman. It was the thing, right? And Greg Rowley was a great B3 player, but they got rid of Greg Rowley and brought in Jonathan Cain. So they reduced that component of it. Which factors did they raise? They raised their vocal bar. They brought in this drummer named Steve Perry, who changed history for vocalists. Which factors did they create? So Journey was responsible for really distilling down to a 3-minute pop song approach, a fan-first approach as we describe it. The band was primarily focused on how the fan would be able to see their own story in their music. Fan-first strategy centered on the audience, told the fan story, gives fans songs that the fans could step into. The band was on stage to support the fans' experience. So another thing they kind of created was digestibility. Journey frontman Steve Perry and Jonathan Cain focused on songs that were shorter in length. So again, the 3.5-minute pop songs, and people hated them for this, but all the people that hated them are broke, right? So, you know, they kind of won.
Yeah.
So the combination of these things, they eliminated the jam band approach. They reduced the emphasis on the B3 by bringing in the piano and synths. They raised the vocal bar with Steve Perry, and they created what we call a fan first approach.
Just for those who might not understand it fully, what does the B3 stand for?
B3 is the organ, Hammond organ. B3.
Hammond organ.
Yeah. So those are some of the things that help Journey become part of the future instead of part of history. They could have easily just dug their heels in and said, I'm going to be a jam band, and that's what I'm going to be. And, you know, I hate change, and I am who I am, kind of thing. But they made some strategic decisions by answering these 4 questions of the ERC framework. So those are a few of the ways that Journey kind of created a future for themselves. So that's what I have for us today. And that's really about becoming an original, creative differentiation for artists by answering the 4 questions within the ERC framework.
I think it's been a really useful overview, you know, and obviously it's super important to find ways for yourself to stand out. Otherwise, you'll just get lost in the mob and get lost in the 100,000 of songs released on streaming services every single day.
Yeah,
you know, I remember I was talking about this 2 years ago, but I feel that now it's even more important because I can't remember the exact numbers, but I go to a lot of like music industry conferences and whatnot, and I remember that early last year, I think the number was still like 80,000 or something like this, or even below that. 80,000 new songs dropped every day. You know, it's 100,000 now. You know, it's probably going to be 200,000 this time next year. So if you don't find ways to have USPs to differentiate yourself from the others, you know, you might be a great artist, you might have great songs, but you will just get lost, you know, and in the noise everywhere.
Yeah, I think of it. A good friend of mine said music was going free about 10 years ago, and I was like, "What is he talking about? You know, why is he saying that?" And he was really right. Music is becoming a souvenir. I mean, people still pay for music. You know, we sell products every day for artists that want that souvenir. But it's not enough anymore. I mean, your music has to be great. It should be great. Yeah. You don't want it to suck, obviously, but it's no longer sufficient. So the way we think about it is we're a fan first company that stages experiences. We're a artist experience company. How do we build experiences that fans will pay for? Some of it's music, but some of it's subscriptions. Some of it's, you know, live face-to-face stuff. So that's where we spend most of our time, is just thinking about experiences. It's like Cirque du Soleil. It's like we could go to that, what was Barnum and Bailey circus that went out of business a couple of years, and it's a crappy $4 circus, and it's like, don't want it. Right?
Yeah.
But I'd rather pay $200 to go to experience Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah.
I mean, you walk in there. I was fortunate to spend some time at their compound in Montreal, and you walk in there and you're like, I feel like I walked into Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It's like, what is who are these nut jobs? It was like, it's a total experience.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'll pay for that. I'll take the $50 whatever, you know?
Yeah. And I feel those artists who understand that it's about that these days it's about so much more than just music will be the ones who succeed. You know, those who will get left behind, sadly, and who will keep on facing issues are those who will try to hold on to the outdated business models, you know, and the reality of 15, 20, 30 years ago, when you had, vinyl, CDs, cassette tapes, whatever, and sort of it was quite an easy equation. I go into studio, I record music, I sell music, I go live, I get money from, and that's it. Right now, there's much more than that, more than that, and you have to stand out and offer, unique. I mean, you have to have unique image. Your music has to differ, but also the whole experience has to be unique enough for people to want to invest, pay for that.
100%. So that's what we've got for you today. Becoming an original, creative differentiation for artists. There's 4 questions. I hope you dig into this. I hope you start to use this in your day-to-day decision making, because we've seen it really ramp up success on a lot of our artists we work with here at Jetpack.
Fantastic. I thought it's been another very, very useful day. Thank you so much for that.
Good.
And
absolutely.
We'll be back tomorrow, same time, 9 a.m.
9 Central Time.
Central Time, Mexican time. Or Central Mexican.
Tennessee and Mexico. That's right.
Yeah, Mexico. All right. Awesome.
Isn't it strange how the world distorts our shape? Funny how you seem to feel better once again you turn away. Don't be afraid to let me wake you up. You never get the things you want to, confined by fear to try. All your inhibitions just contaminate your mind. Let me steal your sorrow, my appetite for you runs wild. Things in secret that you dream of, make them come to life. Inhale, let my words infuse your mind. Ignite a magical flame, but once again you break your gaze. Don't be afraid to let me burn you up. You never get the things you want to, confined by fear to try. All your inhibitions just contaminate your mind. Let me steal your sorrow, my appetite for you runs wild. Things in secret that you dream of, make them come to life.
I ain't scared of nothing but failure. Listen here, let me tell you, I'm on the red eye from Egypt tonight. We got so much against us, but it still feels right. You so electric, boo, you turn me on like a light. Our body chemistry won't allow us to fight. The adrenaline rush seems to give me wings, and it's not about sex. I love hearing you sing. Those jewels are superficial, baby, you my bling.
You never get the things you want to, confined by fear to try. All your inhibitions just contaminate your mind. Let me steal your sorrow, my appetite for you runs wild. Things in secret that you dream of, make them come to life.